Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, changed America for the better in just his first 2 years of presidency. His mandate as first-term president was to rescue the United States from its worst depression in history. He came up with some of these ideas in his first 3 months, also known as the first 100 days. He made a national bank holiday to prevent the collapsing of the bank system. He ended the gold standard to avoid deflation. The Glass-Steagall Act was a law that separated commercial from investment banking. The Federal Deposit Insurance Commission backed all bank deposits up to $2,500, meaning that most bank customers no longer had to worry that a bank failure would wipe out their life savings. He also came up with the Federal Securities Act, which regulated the stock market, and the Agriculture Adjustment Act, which provided relief to farmers by paying them to reduce production. The Civilian Conservation Corps was made to reduce unemployment. He put 250,000 young men to work in national parks and forests. He created the Tennessee Valley Authority, which provided electrification, the process of powering by electricity, and other basic improvements to the impoverished interior of the South. He also created the National Industrial Recovery Act, which created new agencies and regulations that tightened the relationship between government and business. The Public Works Administration funded the construction of public works projects across the country, such as schools, hospitals, airports, dams, and ports, as well as ships for the Navy and airports for the Army Air Corps. Roosevelt also created the Federal Emergency Relief Act, which provided direct relief, training, and work for unemployed Americans. But Franklin did not do all of this alone. He had a group of advisors to help him come up with the first New Deal. These men were called his Brain Trust. The Brain Trust consisted of 4 men: Roosevelt, Moley, Tugwell, and Burrough.
The New Deal was President Franklin Roosevelt's way to try to end the Great Depression. In 1933, he created the first New Deal. This deal dealt more with economic survival. The first New Deal was shot down by Congress in 1934. In 1935 and 1938, FDR created the second New Deal, which was more trying to employ the unemployed, help the economy, and try to prevent future depressions. These were called the 3 R's: relief, recovery, and reform. This deal created relief and recovery programs. An example of this is the WPA, or Work Progress Administration. This relief and recovery program employed the unemployed people, normally unskilled men, to create new buildings, parks, roads, hospitals, airports, schools, and other public areas. This program also gave jobs to musicians, writers, artists, actors, and directors. The second New Deal also created other relief and recovery programs similar to the WPA, like the Warner Act, Social Security Act, Farm Security Administration, and the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938. From everything that FDR did to try to end the Great Depression, some people still believe that he should do more. These people were socialists and communists. Capitalism was the dominant system prior to the Great Depression. This economic system was that the big rich people owned mostly all of the factories, companies, and wealth. The socialist, unlike the capitalist, wanted economic equality for the society. The communist, on the other hand, had wanted even more than the socialist. They wanted the government to own and manage all factories and companies and wanted there to be no private ownerships. These communists thought that the government equaled the people. There was not much individual control. There were a few leaders of these groups, such as Huey Long and Eugene Debs. Huey Long was a socialist leader who believed that FDR was not doing enough. Eugene Debs was another socialist leader before FDR became president, but still had a huge impact during this time.
In the 1920s, Spain was divided and starving. After losing the Spanish colonies, the economy had crumbled, and many people were left unemployed and hungry. The political situation was not good either, with so many parties and extreme points of view that no one agreed with one another. One fateful day in July 1936, a group of angry fascist rebels revolted against the current Republican government. This military rebellion was well planned and thought out, and the rebels quickly took over many major cities. The Spanish Civil War captured international attention, and people were curious to see which extremist party would win. Many Americans wanted the war to end in Republican victory, and they created a group of volunteers called the Abraham Lincoln Brigade, who went to Spain to help fight alongside the Spaniards. The war also fascinated many painters and photographers. Guernica was a famous painting by Pablo Picasso depicting the first Nazi bombing of a Spanish city by planes during the war. Robert Capa was a photographer during the time period, most famous for his photo of a falling soldier. Dictators. After World War I, European countries such as Germany were devastated with no food and many unemployed. Soon-to-be dictators such as Adolf Hitler preyed on the people's feelings of injustice and dissent. During the course of about 20 years, many dictators came to power in Europe. Adolf Hitler, known for his time as Chancellor of Germany, actually started out as an artist, but he failed his art exam. He served in the German military during World War I. Afterwards, he became the chairman of the Nazi Party in 1921 and later became the Führer of Germany. Benito Mussolini was a dictator in Italy and was the founder of fascism, an extreme right-wing ideology that celebrates the nation or the race as an organic community transcending all other loyalties. In all, countries who were left demolished after World War I were taken advantage of by dictators who preyed on their feelings of injustice and fear of other extremist parties.
I see